The following program is a paid presentation from the California Elder Law Center. The information and opinions expressed herein are solely those of the California Elder Law Center and are not the opinions of K-News, Alpha Media, management, or employees.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Elder Answers. This is the show where we get together every week and we discuss the major issues facing seniors in the United States today. Hi, everybody. This is Michael McGuire, elder law attorney with the California Elder Law Center. For over 25 years, we have been serving the needs of seniors and those who are charged with the duty and the responsibility to protect seniors all throughout California. We specialize in the field of elder law, which is distinct from estate planning, that's for sure. And it's always worth noting and reminding you what that difference actually is. The difference between estate planning and elder law is basically this. Estate planning answers a very important question for most middle-class families, and that question is, what happens when I die? Where does my stuff go? How do I protect a family member that may need to be protected, either to assure that their public benefits continue on because they're so important for their health care purposes, or to provide funding for maybe a next generation grandchildren and their education, or perhaps one of my children has come up with a situation in which they really need to be protected and to be able to handle the money prudently that I have worked so hard for, and now I would like to pass on. Of course, the other reason that we're so focused on answering that question is we want to avoid probate. We don't want to get stuck in the probate court, which is a process that is very expensive and very tedious. We'll be discussing a little bit of that here later in the show. How you can avoid probate, how your family can be protected from that process. The process is one that eats up a lot of money and a lot of time and could have been done faster and more efficiently with an estate plan. And so many of you have reached out or have already begun that process. You may have a trust now. You may have an estate plan now that includes a will, a durable power of attorney, an advanced health care directive. And so that may have been something you have already done, and you may have done it a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And there it sits, untouched by human hands. But the issues have changed, and that's where the issue of elder law comes in. Now, elder law attorneys do the same things that the estate planning attorneys do to make sure the money that and the assets and the protections are all built into your plan. But they're going to answer a different question for you. And the question that they are going to address is, what happens if I live? What happens if I live? Now, that isn't a question that the answer begs us to find out who's going to take care of you during the period of time of your life that you can't take care of yourself. And how are you going to pay for long-term care if you need it? This becomes a crucial process when you're an elderly individual, perhaps, who has gone into the hospital and you get sort of pulled into the medical system and nobody seems to have a straight answer. Nobody seems to have a path forward that's clear to you or your family until they get to the point where they tell you that the average cost to be in a nursing home in the state of California currently is $10,298 per month. You heard that right. $10,298 per month. And in all honesty, that's not bad, given that the cost of care, for instance, on most of the places on the East Coast runs anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000 a month now. So that's the kind of an issue that could destroy a family's finances. That's the kind of an issue if one spouse is the one who gets sick and has to go into that level of care, being in a nursing home. The spouse at home could be drained and become a pauper, if you will. So is there a way to protect yourself from that? And the answer to that is yes. There is a way to protect yourself. There's a way for you to access catastrophic illness protections that are built into the system set up in the federal government in the United States to protect seniors. Now, you need to know what those rules are, or you need to have a guide that can get you through the maze of the rules so that you can keep your home intact, that you can keep your life savings, and you can enhance and upgrade the quality of your care. Now remember, a lot of this is going to be taking place during a phase of your life that you're dependent upon others. Most of the time, I'd say the vast majority of the time, what we're talking about is the adult children of a senior who is now in harm's way are sitting in our office asking us, how do we take care of this? What do we have to do? And so the process, I can assure you, works much more efficiently, works much better, and creates a much better outcome if it's addressed ahead of time. It's never a good idea to be trying to figure out what to do in a crisis when you're standing knee-deep in the crisis. So give that some thought when you're listening to the show today, because I'm going to be talking to you about some things that could help defray the cost of care at your home, or in an assisted living, or a memory care unit, or in a nursing home, and how you can enforce your rights to make sure you're safe and you're not destroyed financially doing it. A lot of times people are not clear about how these different programs all dovetail together, so let's do a little bit of a refresher course on that, if you will. Medicare is health insurance. It was started in the first day of January of 1966. It was signed into law the summer of 1965 by Lyndon Johnson. The first person to receive Medicare benefits in the United States is a guy named Harry Truman. Harry Truman had tried twice to get it through, was unsuccessful. He tried to get it through the House of Representatives with a young fella who was a member of the House of Representatives that was trying to get this health care for seniors taken care of, and that guy's name was Hubert Humphrey. And so these two, over time, were participating in a process of saying that they wanted to keep a promise. It was a promise that had been extended to seniors in this country both before World War II and certainly after World War II. And that was that we were going to be, as a society, committed to the proposition of taking care of seniors in this country when they had retired and they could no longer access health insurance through their employers because they had retired. And when you retired back then, that was the end of your benefit. And so Medicare was instituted for all those who didn't have that kind of a benefit available to them, but had a certain obvious need for medical health insurance. Medicare pays for the hospital, pays for the doctors, pays for now prescription drugs, pays for physical therapy, pays for some care in your home if you're recuperating, and pays for hospice benefits should you reach that phase of your life that you just want to be cared for and have palliative care, not curative care. So among all those different things that Medicare does, it's clear that you should understand it has changed the lives of seniors in the United States forever. This program has allowed us as a society to experience longevity like never before. You men, you live 5 years longer than men you're similarly aged and positioned in 1965. Women, you live 7 years longer. And so now a lady at age 80 can anticipate a life expectancy of just about 10 more years up to age 90. Now, those are 10 years that could be vital. Those are 10 years you would have access to some of the best medical care in the world, and that you would do it at a cost that would be minimal to you, if even experienced at all, because you have the opportunity to choose different kinds of supplemental health care programs that dovetail with your Medicare. You could join a Medicare Advantage program or an HMO, if you will, and really have no out-of-pocket costs of any serious consequence. And as a direct result, you will have access to the medical system for the rest of your life. That's what the design of Medicare was for, to get seniors access to quality medical care during a period of their lives in which their income was restricted because they were retired, and that it would not devastate them economically and strip them of everything they owned. and it's worked. It's worked terrific. That Medicare has certain limitations, and one of the limitations is you having to be clear about the fact that it does not pay for long-term care. It does not pay for long-term care. There is a program, however, in the United States that was signed into law the same day, and that was catastrophic illness coverage. Catastrophic illness coverage. And that's a program that was based upon your income. That's a means-tested program. In other words, for you to access Medicare, you had to pay into the system while you were working, which your employer made deductions and sent your money in. And then when you turned 65, you were in. With Medi-Cal, there were no deductions taking place out of your paycheck. It was coming through your general taxation dollars. And so Medi-Cal is a different program. We call it Medicaid nationally, but here in California, it's Medi-Cal. And Medi-Cal, because it's a catastrophic illness program, will pay for your stay in a nursing home. There are some strict rules about how much you can have in the way of assets. There are some strict rules as far as your income is concerned. But the one rule you want to know about, number one, is what do I have to do to be eligible? Actually, it's a pretty simple formula. It's a formula that's based solely upon your income. There's no other considerations to determine whether or not you will swing open the door of eligibility to accessing Medi-Cal, both for health care in the community and or for long-term care in a nursing home. Now remember, the idea of spending $10,298 a month is just too big of a burden for any middle-class family in the United States. Over $120,000 a year cash on the barrelhead due every single first of the month is just too much for the average person to deal with. Medicaid, we call it Medi-Cal here in California, is designed to protect you and to help you meet the obligation of paying for your care.
The cost of long-term care for yourself or a loved one can be financially devastating, but you can avoid going broke. That's how the California Elder Law Center will help you. You can access long-term care benefits through the VA, Medi-Cal, and other sources. But the process of getting those benefits can be daunting. That's where attorney Mick McGuire and the California Elder Law Center come to the rescue. Whether facing a hospital stay, currently in a rehab facility, an assisted living facility, or nursing home, immediate help is available. So now's the time to schedule an appointment for a free consultation. Our office is safe and virus-free. Call 760-422-0404. That's 760-422-0404. You'll learn so much about how to resolve your elder issues. It goes beyond paying for long-term care. With the help of an attorney at the California Elder Law Center, you can avoid the expense and delays of probate. You can protect your home, your family, and your assets. The system is complicated and frankly not user-friendly. But when you work with an attorney specializing in elder law, it's all so much easier. Call 760-422-0404 for a free meeting in our safe, virus-free office. That's 760-422-0404. Online, search Cal Elder Law. That's Cal Elder Law, helping you get the care you need and deserve. The California Elder Law Center.
You're listening to Elder Answers, and this is Michael McGuire, elder law attorney with the California Elder Law Center. Today we're talking about a program that helps a middle-class family protect and shield themselves from the devastation, the economic devastation of having to use a nursing home, with the average cost here in California being $10,298 per month. A devastating financial blow to a middle-class family, especially for retired individuals. Now, over and over again, there are those families that have addressed this issue by planning ahead. And what their planning incorporates, not completely now, but what their planning does incorporate is that if they are confronted with needing long-term care in a nursing home, are they in a position to avail themselves of a benefit that accrues to all people in California underneath the Medi-Cal program, also known nationally as Medicaid? Yes, there is a catastrophic illness program. That's what Medi-Cal is. It is not welfare. It has never been welfare. It is a program that starts off with a series of tests to determine whether or not you are going to be successful in accessing the funding through Medi-Cal to pay for your stay in a nursing home. The number one test starts off with your income, and that is determining whether or not you are subject to a catastrophic illness. A catastrophic illness determines whether or not you are going to get a dime of help dealing with long-term care in California. Now, what is the calculation that is necessary to determine whether or not you are on the wrong end of a catastrophic illness? Well, whatever your monthly income is, you want to compare it to the following. Whatever the cost of your care is, for instance, the private rate to be in a nursing home at $10,298 a month, if your income is less than $10,298 a month, you are in fact eligible for Medi-Cal to help you pay for the cost of your care. That's the first step in the three-step process that has been developed by the California Elder Law Center over the last 25 years to help middle-class families access these incredibly valuable benefits and to be prepared if they are going to need that benefit so that they're not in crisis physically on the medical side, but they're also going to avoid being in crisis on the financial side. Nobody wants to be destroyed financially. Nobody wants to lose their home because somebody needs to use a nursing home. And that's not a choice on anybody's part. Nobody volunteers to go to a nursing home. It's just a medical necessity. And so that first step is it's an easy test for you to calculate at home, isn't it? What is my monthly income? Is it less than $10,298 a month? If the answer to that is yes, bingo, I'm eligible for assistance to pay for my long-term care. Now, believe me, the book is full of a lot of rules. And so this is a process that you begin eliminating all the barriers to you accessing your benefit, and you affirm all the doors being opened that gives you access to your benefit, or you are attempting to get those benefits for a loved one, an elderly parent, a grandparent, a friend of yours, a dear loved one, your spouse. And so all these processes require you to give some thought, either in crisis down the road with your hair standing on end and wishing that you had taken care of this earlier, or you come in and you talk to an elder law attorney, find out where you're at. Yes, I do have a trust. Yes, I do have a durable power of attorney. So let's take a look if that's going to work. Are those documents really going to work? Because remember now, they were designed to answer a different question, weren't they? They were designed to answer the question of what happens if I die. You being in a nursing home is a different question. That question is, what happens if I live? Will my durable power of attorney really allow me, or more accurately, my spouse or my daughter or my son, to do the things that are necessary to protect my assets and my income, but also to swing open the door so that I can get the benefit that I've paid for as a taxpayer all these years? Listen, the idea of protecting those assets is not to somehow, some way have a big pile of money just for your kids later on. Usually it's a necessity. You need to have access to that money in order to upgrade the quality of your care. Without that upgrade of the quality of your care taking place, being in a nursing home is not a particularly pleasant experience. In fact, I don't know anybody that wants to be in a nursing home. But you can upgrade the quality of your care. You can supplement the quality of your care. And of course, all of this has become far more complicated now that we're in the pandemic. So being prepared, having planned is going to make a significant difference with regards to you financially, but more importantly, as to the quality of your care. Over and over again, families come in trying to discuss, we have a bad situation going on with mom, we have a bad situation going on with dad. Everybody is emotionally torn up trying to figure out what's going on. If you're suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia, it just makes everything that much more difficult, that much more emotional, that much more heartbreaking, because you can't reach out. You can't have the kind of conversation you would like to have. And if it's bad for you, you have to have some acute sympathy for how bad it is for mom or dad. They're trapped inside their mind. That does not negate for 1 minute the enormous expense of taking care of somebody who's going through that phase of their life. Just getting care in your home can cost you very easily somewhere in the neighborhood of $4,500 to $6,500 a month. Being in an assisted living is close to $5,000 to $6,000 a month. Being in a board and care can go anywhere from $3,800, $3,900 a month to $6,000 a month based upon your needs, based upon the services that they have to provide to support you. And of course, memory care has gotten to be a more and more acute issue given how many people are living so much longer. They are developing Alzheimer's. They are developing these different levels of need. And so by doing this pre-planning, most of those families have already put in place their plan about what they're going to do and how they're going to pay for these different levels of care, explored all the options, and prepared themselves and their family so that they can focus on the care and not be terrorized by the expense. That's where the anxiety comes in, is the expense. Now, listen, just because a person has Alzheimer's and dementia, that doesn't mean they can't hear you. That doesn't mean they don't need to be nurtured. That doesn't mean that they don't need to have quality meals and make sure somebody's giving them their meds in a timely fashion, or that they're bathed and they're clean, or that somebody's talking to them, or somebody's touching them, or somebody turns that damn television set off and communicates with them. They didn't go deaf. They just can't process. They can hear you. And so that kind of intensity on a family dealing with this stuff can be very, very onerous. That's why we encourage everybody that's a family member that's trying to support a senior going through this stuff is to get yourself to a support group. Now, a lot of people, I don't want to wash my laundry in public. That's not what goes on in these things. There are support groups for stroke victims. There's support groups for cardiac patients. There's support groups for Alzheimer's and dementia patients, for stroke victims. And these are critically important to protecting and maintaining a quality of care both for you, but also for your family. So it's critically important that we recognize and protect the caregiver. The caregiver is key here. That's the person who's on duty 24/7. That's the person who has their own issues creeping up on them. If you're counting on your kids, and this gets back to the posing of the two questions, how are you going to pay for your care and who's going to take care of you, that we started in the beginning of the show today, your kids have lives. Your kids may not live here. They may be geographically, and more likely they are geographically separated from you. Have you thought about how you're going to handle that issue? Have you thought about how to communicate with your children, perhaps, or your grandchildren, how this should be handled? It's not that you don't love your lifestyle here in the desert. It's not that you're not enjoying the benefits of living in a community, perhaps with other people that are of retirement age and needs and interests. But there comes a point in time that without any kind of a plan, you're going to be exposed to the issue that suddenly you're very, very alone. And that is not necessary. You don't have to live with that anxiety, and you can take action with this now. You can do something about this. When it comes to the expenses, it's going to be a question, if it's like Medi-Cal, that where are you as far as your income is concerned, and where are you as far as your assets are concerned. That's going to be the acid test. That's what's going to be really necessary to make sure that you are getting access to the benefits that you have paid for as a taxpayer. There are other programs, different avenues of care, some of it which apply to, for instance, veterans. We're going to talk a little bit about that later on, but when we're talking about Medi-Cal, that applies to all of us, to everybody. Medi-Cal does have a program for care in your home, in-home support services that can extend bringing a caregiver into your home for remedial issues to protect you and to keep you where you want to be. When you ask people what's important to them, they all say the same thing. The number one thing that people want is to stay in their home. Well, you may need some help doing that. And if your documents are correct and properly prepared, you're going to be able to do that.
The cost of long-term care for yourself or a loved one can be financially devastating, but you can avoid going broke. That's how the California Elder Law Center will help you. You can access long-term care benefits through the VA, Medi-Cal, and other sources. But the process of getting those benefits can be daunting. That's where attorney Mick McGuire and the California Elder Law Center come to the rescue. Whether facing a hospital stay, currently in a rehab facility, an assisted living facility, or nursing home, immediate help is available. So now's the time to schedule an appointment for a free consultation. Our office is safe and virus-free. Call 760-422-0404. That's 760-422-0404. You'll learn so much about how to resolve your elder issues. It goes beyond paying for long-term care. With the help of an attorney at the California Elder Law Center, you can avoid the expense and delays of probate. You can protect your home, your family, and your assets. The system is complicated and frankly not user-friendly. But when you work with an attorney specializing in elder law, it's all so much easier. Call 760-422-0404 for a free meeting in our safe, virus-free office. That's 760-422-0404. Online, search Cal Elder Law. That's Cal Elder Law, helping you get the care you need and deserve. The California Elder Law Center.
This is Michael McGuire with the California Elder Law Center, elder law attorney, and you're listening to Elder Answers. Every week we try to give you information that is accurate, digestible, and something that you can use, something you can take away, something that you can now make yourself a stronger consumer, a more enlightened consumer. And you can get out from underneath the tyranny of anxiety and get into action mode so that you can protect yourself, your loved ones, your mother, your father, your grandparents, or each other. You know, Medi-Cal for years has been here to serve the needs of middle-class families. How long? Since 1965. And the number one area of inquiry in determining whether or not you're going to get any help with this kind of stuff is, of course, is your income. We discussed that here earlier. And what we said is that if your income is less than the cost of your care, you're eligible. If it costs $10,298 a month to be in a nursing home, and then if your income is less than $10,298 a month, then you're eligible for your benefit through Medi-Cal to pay for your stay in a nursing home. Then they go on to the next step is, are you qualified? That's looking at your assets. Now they want to see your assets. And what they're looking for here is if you are the person going into the nursing home, you are the person who needs the care. You may have no more than $2,000 in your name. If you are the spouse at home, however, if this person is married, that person, the spouse, is entitled to $128,620 in assets in their name. That's not the end of the conversation. That's the beginning of the conversation, because some assets are completely exempt. Some assets don't count at all. Now, I don't know how many times I have heard over the years this scenario being expressed to me by somebody coming into the office looking for some information and guidance on Medi-Cal for a loved one. Typically, it's the adult children of a senior. And when you're talking to them about this process that Medi-Cal has as far as assets being either countable or not countable, I hear this all the time. Ah, yes, Medi-Cal. My grandmother was on Medi-Cal. When she was elderly, she had to go to a nursing home. We sold her house because they said she had too much money, and we had to pay every month to the nursing home. And then when she was broke, then the nursing home switched her over to Medi-Cal. It is such a sad moment in my relationship with these people is to have to explain to them what the rules really say. 1, if grandma's house had been in a trust, a revocable trust, there never would have been a need to sell the house. Grandma could have kept the house, and Medi-Cal would have started paying from day one. That's right. Medi-Cal would have started paying from day one. But oh, wait, doesn't Medi-Cal put a lien on your property? Well, Medi-Cal doesn't put a lien on your property until a person has passed away, if they are on benefits, number one. And number two, if that person's house was vested and titled to a trust, a revocable trust, there can be no lien against that property. That's right. Medi-Cal cannot put a lien against the house, a property, as long as it's in a revocable trust. It's your residence, your home. Now, that's a huge advantage and change for so many people's concept of how Medi-Cal works. And the reason for it is they keep changing the law. They changed the law in 2017 that you could protect your house. You can keep your house if you put it into a trust. Now, that's really good news for middle-class families. Some of them have a trust, or some of them have been thinking about maybe it would be a good idea to use a trust for their estate planning purposes to avoid probate. But now here's a huge reason for you to have a trust, and that is that you can avoid a Medi-Cal lien. Looking for another major asset that doesn't count, that you would have thought would automatically exclude you? For instance, if you have a tax-qualified account, a 401k, a 403b, a 454 retirement plan, or more likely an IRA, either a rollover or an IRA you put money aside, it does not count. You can keep every dime in that account. And no, there cannot be a lien against that asset when you pass away. So here's two huge assets that you would have thought for sure would exclude you from ever getting benefits through Medi-Cal. Your home, and your home, by the way, can be at any value. It could be $100,000 or it could be $10 million. There's no limit as far as the value in California on a home. Your IRA, there's no limit as far as the amount of money you have in your IRA. You can have $25,000 in your account, or you can have $1 million in that account. It does not count. Knowing the rules can make a huge difference, not just to you and your family and the legacy you leave behind, but impacting the quality of your care. So over the years, trying to communicate this current information to families throughout Southern California has been a real challenge. That's one of the reasons why we have opted to create this radio show for you, Elder Answers. This is a good vehicle for us to come to you and bring you information so that you can use that information to protect yourself and to upgrade the quality of your care. Now, what ends up happening in the case of Grandma is she may in fact have a house, but she's not living in the house anymore. Now, we can't rent the house out because that changes the nature of the asset from a residence over to an asset, a rental property. So that's not a viable strategy. And this is where it's so important for you to spend a little bit of time sitting down with an elder law attorney to review your documents in case you have some, or thinking about putting together some documents that will protect you and allow you to protect Grandma aka you or yourselves or your parents, down the road. Let me give you an example. Grandma had a house. Now we know she did not have to sell the house. She could keep the house, but she doesn't want to keep an empty house. What she really wants to do is sell the house, take the cash, hire somebody to supplement her care in the nursing home. Somebody to come in for a 4-hour shift, 3, 4, 5 days a week, whatever it takes to treat grandma like the Queen of England while she's in that nursing home. Now, this may be a way for one spouse to protect the other spouse. A wife, her husband has fallen to the situation in which he needs to use the nursing home. There's no getting around it. Having the money to pay for supplemental care takes the heat off of his wife that she's not going to be able to go there every day. If she has a cold, she can't go in there. You can't go in there because of COVID-19 right now anyway. And so you may be in a position to hire somebody to go in there as a caregiver and supplement your care, but you need the money. What is the solution? Well, for those of you that already have a trust, you need to have a change to your trustees' powers so that they can move forward and create a safe harbor trust for that house. Once you move the house into the safe harbor trust, then you can sell it. And once that house is sold, the proceeds will go into the safe harbor house, and they will not count towards your qualification figures as far as Medi-Cal is concerned. Those funds remain yours to use, A, for the rest of your life, and B, to provide a legacy for your family when you pass away. Well, how do you know if that's in your trust or not? The way you do it is you pick up the phone and you make an appointment to come in for a consultation so we can take a look at your documents and assess whether or not they're going to work and protect you. All you have to do is call 760-422-0404, 422-0404. Now, the way we're going to do this is we're going to send you out a brief intake form. We need you to give us the basic information of your situation. You send that back to us, and we will arrange for a consultation. What you need to know is the room in which the consultation is going to be taking place has been sanitized. It's all been wiped down, chairs, tabletops, every time before somebody comes in, every time when somebody leaves. We have an acrylic screen between yourself and the elder law attorney. We have an air purifier that's HEPA certified to help clean the air while you're in that room. We will be asking you to wear a mask, as will we. And so we've taken all the precautions to keep you having a safe environment. You can bring your documents in. We can review them. Are they going to work? Are those documents going to hold up? Or is it too late? Are you trapped with old documents? Yes, they kept you out of probate. Yes, they took care of making sure what you have goes to who you want, but they failed us at the last moment if we were trying to access long-term care benefits through Medi-Cal to defer the $10,000 cost. Why? Because the empowerment that's necessary to do the things we need to do, to prepare the trust, the safe harbor trust, so that those funds will be safe and be used for your care for the rest of your life to supplement your care, and then go on to your beneficiaries. We have lost that if our documents are older and outdated or never contemplated that issue. It's a way to fix your current documents, to upgrade them, to take care of long-term care issues, to protect you and your spouse, and for your children to be able to protect you when the time comes. It's critically important because typically when you're in that situation, you're in no condition to be signing new documents. In fact, nobody can get into the facility to get your signature on those new documents because of everybody's in a lockdown. Take care of this now. 760-422-0404. Come in for a consultation. Let's take a look at your stuff. Let's see if you're okay. Let's make sure that if the time comes, you are protected, your spouse is protected, and your family is protected.
The cost of long-term care for yourself or a loved one can be financially devastating, but you can avoid going broke. That's how the California Elder Law Center will help you. You can access long-term care benefits through the VA, Medi-Cal, and other sources. But the process of getting those benefits can be daunting. That's where attorney Mick McGuire and the California Elder Law Center come to the rescue. Whether facing a hospital stay, currently in a rehab facility, an assisted living facility, or nursing home, immediate help is available. So now's the time to schedule an appointment for a free consultation. Our office is safe and virus-free. Call 760-422-0404. That's 760-422-0404. You'll learn so much about how to resolve your elder issues. It goes beyond paying for long-term care. With the help of an attorney at the California Elder Law Center, you can avoid the expense and delays of probate. You can protect your home, your family, and your assets. The system is complicated and frankly not user-friendly. But when you work with an attorney specializing in elder law, it's all so much easier. Call 760-422-0404 for a free meeting in our safe, virus-free office. That's 760-422-0404. Online, search Cal Elder Law. That's Cal Elder Law, helping you get the care you need and deserve. The California Elder Law Center.
This is Michael McGuire with the California Elder Law Center. What we've been talking about today is what you need to do to protect yourself, to protect your family. You know, everybody says the same thing when they have a focus group. When you ask people what's the most important thing to them, what do you think's the first thing? The first thing is always the same thing, interestingly enough, and that's that I want to stay at home. I want to stay at home. I want to be in my home, in the comfort of my home. This is my chair. That's my remote. Leave me alone. Well, that's great as long as you can do that. But for those of you that have the unfortunate fate of needing a higher level of care, it doesn't quite work that way. You know, even if you think you've got this all wired, you should be aware of the fact that 80% of all Americans do not die in their home. They die in an institutional environment. One of the reasons for that, it's a mixed blessing of having access to fantastic health care, in that you will be accessing that care very late in your life. And in fact, for most people underneath Medicare is going to spend something like 85% of everything it ever spends on you during the last 12 months of your life. That's how expensive it is to take care of somebody at that phase of their life. If you end up in that environment, and so many of us do, then we need to have a way to protect ourselves from avoiding being financially destroyed. That's what we do by doing planning. That's what we do by creating a safe harbor trust for you. And that safe harbor trust applies not only to Medi-Cal, so that you can keep those excess funds that normally would have insulted the rules of Medi-Cal, because then you would have too much in the way of assets. You can only have $2,000 in assets to your name unless you have moved them into a safe harbor trust, and you have to be empowered to do that for each other, if it's a spouse to spouse, or for your adult children to do it for you. And so if that's the case, you need to be empowered to do it, and you need to be empowered to do it in a way that doesn't offend the rules of Medi-Cal. That's critical. That's where the elder law attorney comes in, to be able to walk you through that maze and make sure it gets done right in a way that you didn't step on a banana peel or miss crossing a T or dotting an I and you were denied. That's why you want to talk to the attorney, and you want to begin that process as early as possible. Pick up the phone and call 422-0404. Make an appointment to come in. It's safe, it's clean. It's a way for you to find out and put your mind at ease that you're going to be okay, or to determine what it is you need to do to change what you have to bring it up to speed. Or if you don't have anything, it's worth getting done right. If it's worth doing at all, you may as well come in and get this thing taken care of so that you're safe and you've got some kind of access to help defray that $10,298 a month devastating expense. Now, there is another program that works sort of on a similar chassis of this, and that comes to the Veterans Administration. Now, we'll be talking more in additional shows coming up, but let me give you a little bit of an idea about how that program works. There is a program through the Veterans Administration, and this one is even more stringent as far as the application of the rules are concerned than Medi-Cal. Underneath Medi-Cal, if you have too much in the way of assets, we do have effective, safe, tested strategies to protect every last dime of your assets and make sure you still get qualified, and to make sure that your assets land in a safe harbor trust that's designed to protect you and to supplement your care. With the Veterans Administration, you have to do it ahead of time. You cannot wait until the last moment to hope that you're going to be able to move some money around in order to qualify. The VA has a program if you're a married vet and you served during a declared period of war. That period of war would be World War II, Korea, Vietnam, or the Gulf. You only had to serve one day. It was only one day. You did not have to be in combat. You just had to be in uniform on active duty. Now, you do have to serve 90 days consecutive active duty. And if you have met that criteria, then you are in a situation in which you will be eligible for a veteran's benefit if you're married of over $2,200 a month tax-free to pay for your care at home or in an assisted living or in a board and care or in a memory care unit. So this can be a tremendous source of funding for you for your long-term care needs. You can imagine the impact it would make on you if you had an additional $2,200 a month, $26,000 a year available to you tax-free to help pay for those expenses. And those expenses are very real, and they are very, very much an imposition on a typical elderly middle-class family. And it applies to spouses of any kind of a marriage. And so think about that. Now, be cognizant of that and asking each other, did you serve? Were you in? 422-0404, and discover what's going to be necessary on your part to protect yourself, because you are going to have to act in advance. You can't wait until the time the crisis arises. Now, we used to be able to go through a workshop for you. We used to be able to bring a group of people together at 10 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, a couple times a month over at the Hampton Inn. We can't do that anymore because of COVID. The hotel's not allowed to rent the rooms, and we wouldn't be able to assure your safety, so we won't do it. But we can't do it anyway. But what we can do is offer you a consultation. But you do have to pick up the phone, and you do have to call 422-0404. At least you need to find out. 422-0404. Are you eligible? What do I have to do? If you have too much in the way of assets to satisfy the Veterans Administration, you have to do it in advance of getting your benefit. In fact, you have to do it 3 years in advance of asking for your benefit. That's why we have a special trust we have created just for veterans and the family of veterans, the spouses of veterans, and we call it the 3-year trust. If you take care of this now, you will know and have confidence 3 years from now, you will have access to those funds if you need them. Yes, you do have to plan ahead, and yes, you have to create the trust now. Now, the thing that's so unique about this particular program for veterans to get benefits is that it also applies to their spouses. Their spouses. If you're talking about spouses that are you're currently a couple, and it's the spouse who needs care, you have the ability to access pretty close to $1,400 a month. If you are the surviving spouse of a veteran, you're a widow or a widower, or you are the surviving spouse of a veteran, you can get up to $1,200 a month tax-free. My mother got $1,200 a month tax-free through the VA for 5 years. She was getting money because of my father's military service during World War II in the Army Air Corps, 4 years in an assisted living and 1 year in a board and care. Now, Did $1,200 a month pay for the beautiful facilities that she was in? The answer is no. Did it make a difference, making it easier for us, my sister and I, to take care of this situation for her? And the answer is, oh yes, boy howdy, oh yes. But you need to be proactive. If you come in here in crisis on the veterans, it's very, very difficult to get through if you have too much in the way of assets according to their rules. If, on the other hand, you have taken the time to create a 3-year trust, your funds are safe, you're able to move forward, you can take care of business, you have the ability to sign things, to create documents, to move assets, all those issues are aside, then you're going to find out that you have just boosted your long-term care benefit package by as much as $2,200 a month tax-free. You know, the only thing that stands between a vet or the spouse of a vet or the surviving spouse of a vet and getting their funding is taking action. It's taking action. You are never going to get a call from the Veterans Administration asking, can we help you? You're going to have to do this all on your own. You have to have the initiative to take care of this on your own. If you wait until you're flat on your back in the hospital bed, it's very, very difficult, if not impossible. And you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to survive 3 years writing those $10,000, $8,000, $6,000, $5,000 checks every month. Or come in for the consultation and see what you have to do now. This is an easy process for you at this stage. You don't have to make a decision. But somebody needs to see the documents you already have. Somebody needs to know if they will work in this world of public benefits. And if they don't work, they're going to have to be changed so that they do work. And you can do that. But you can't do it unless you bring them in to be reviewed by an expert in this field. So the phone number you're looking for is 422-0404. Is this easy to put off? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Why not? I can do that next week. Except there's one little fly in the ointment with that particular plan. How many times do I have the family of a client who is suddenly struck with something that caused them to be rushed off to the hospital? You don't know when your heart attack's coming. You don't know when the stroke is coming. You don't know when you trip over the cat and fall down and break your hip or hit your head on the pavement because you lost your balance. You don't know any of that. But I will tell you, being prepared is going to make life a lot easier, not just on your family, not just on your spouse, but on you, because you will have dealt with the issue ahead of time and you will not have anxiety about how this is going to work. 422-0404, the California Elder Law Center, is where you can get accurate assessment of where you stand today, what you have to do to be protected tomorrow. Why wouldn't you do that? 422-0404. This is Michael McGuire with the California Elder Law Center saying thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to talking with you again next week.
A child struggling to speak. It's often a developmental disability that can leave a child frustrated and isolated. Life-changing treatment by professional speech therapists is available at no cost to the family. It's at the Stan and Bobby Gold Right Care Childhood Language Center in Palm Desert. We need your donation. On your phone or computer, search Gold Right Care. That's Gold, R-I-T-E, Care. From the Palm Springs Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. Give a child the gift of speech.